Wait a minute. Did QuickBooks get better or more confusing? Hi, I'm Steph, a QuickBooks Pro Advisor certified in QuickBooks Online. And in this video, I'm going to show you the before and after of the software. I'm going to show you a couple of changes and key features on where to get your information so you won't have to take a whole QBO course in order to get your information for your reports. QuickBooks rolled out this new interface for their software with a new look. And if you just purchased a subscription, then you may not even notice that there was even a change in it. But if you've used it for previous years, then you know that your dashboard when you log in is totally different from the one that you have today. So if you had the subscription in prior years, you would open up your QuickBooks and you would see this interface. As you can see on the left navigation panel, you have your sales, your customers, cash flow we'll get to a little bit later, expenses, payroll, and time. Let's just deal with those for a second. And if you look at the other navigation, which they have condensed quite a bit on this new interface, just comparing it side by side, you can see that these sales, expenses, payroll, time, and the customers are located within this all apps button that you see here. The accountant tab is still here, and that tab would be for your accounting that you do day to day. So your transactions, your bank feed, your expenses, everything that you need to do your accounting within the month for that business activity that you've done would go into that accounting tab. The reason for the update, I believe QuickBooks wanted to give the more efficient, more productive experience for the user when they're interacting with their software. You might be like, oh my goodness, I just started getting used to the software. All these changes is too much to handle, but don't pack your bags yet. These are things that will help you automate the processes that you would normally take maybe 2 to 3 minutes or so. The whole goal is for you to do what you need to do, get your information, and then come out of the books or be able to give the reports to your tax preparer with the least amount of stress. Learning anything new, you always have some level of discomfort, but in the end, it will allow you to be able to automate the different mundane tasks that you would need to do from day to day if you didn't have this new update within the software. Now, another thing that have drastically changed is the bank feed screen. And you've noticed in the old interface, there was this banking screen that had your date, your description, your payee, your categorized, spent column, and received, right? But then when you open it up to the new interface, you can see that it still has the date, your bank description. The spent column is here and the receive column is here. So in the old interface, it was to the far right, but now they've put it in the middle, I guess, for visibility. And then this button over here, which is the feed, that is the Intuit Intelligence. And that is installed there in order for it to help you in categorizing your transactions within this bank transaction. So normally you would have to either remember what you paid for or what deposits came in. But now QuickBooks has implemented this Intuit Intelligence in order to make suggestions so that it can kind of, I guess, refresh your memory on what that transaction was for. With the bank feed, some owners that I've spoke to say that they don't like it because it's a waste of time. They go into the banking screen and then there is like these green suggested matches, and they're saying that it takes more time for them to figure out which one match than them just adding and categorizing it themselves. So what they're talking about is, let's just take this transaction 222.26 Pam, and when we click into it, the AI gives you the Intuit Intelligence give you the suggested matches that they think that belongs to this transaction. So this, you can either click into it like I just did, or you hover over this same symbol that it has for the feed, and it will give you the transactions that it's found within QuickBooks. I believe that they're saying is that, they have to look and see what's the vendor, which one. So they're a little unsure. One way you can figure this out is that you can pay attention to the bank description. And in the bank description, it has the payee, which is Pam Says. You can also look at the date to see where the transaction came in from the bank, and you can kind of match it up. So this is 22226, this one is 22226. And then this is the vendor Pam Says. So most likely this is the one that you're going to select in order to match it. You do have to still go in and make sure that is exactly the transaction that goes with that match. So when you've selected the one that you think goes with that transaction that came in through the bank feed, then you would just click match, and then QuickBooks would categorize it, and now it's in your QuickBooks. QuickBooks would put that transaction into the posted tab. And you see right here, it says match. That is what QuickBooks did. If you made a mistake, you can click undo and then go back to pending and categorize it for what you want to do. In the future, if you categorize this transaction, what you can do is set up a rule so that when the bank has that transaction and it syncs into QuickBooks and QuickBooks pulls it in to the bank transaction screen, you can have a rule set up where every time it comes in, it would be categorized to that account. So the interface with the condensed navigation panel over here is more of a time saver, if you will. The create button here is just there to facilitate anything that you would need to do for your customers, like invoices, estimates, credit memos. They have the vendor that you would normally, categorize an expense or, pay a bill or write a check. Your team, if you have one, that section is for that as well, to add a contractor if you had outsourced any work for your business. And then there's other for like the bank deposits and, to pay down a credit card, to add a product and services. This video is just to get you familiarized with where the features are. It is not an in-depth video. We are going to cover that in another video at a later date. This video is just to allow you to know where to get your information around tax time, or even not around tax time, like month end close, when your bookkeeper or even yourself want to know where your business stands at that specific month. You can go into reports over here. They have set up a whole separate tab for reports. So you would go to the left navigation, you would click reports, you would click standard, and these are your reports. I did notice that this is pretty cool, of the stars that you can select so that you can just label it as favorites. I thought that was nice. You can go down and just a clear cut, clean setup and layout of you just knowing where the reports are. They have if you have sales and customers, or what you owe, or expenses and businesses. It just looks really bright and more inviting, if you will, when you're in here doing your reports. You can customize your reports, management reports. That's more of bookkeeping or an accountant type feature. But the cash flow planner, now I said I was going to go through that. On the old system, you had cash flow right on the navigation at the second tab, I believe, that was there. But now when you go into your reports, there's a cash flow planner here, and there's also the budgets, which makes much sense because in order for you to know your cash flow and planning and decisions that you have to make in your business, you have to know how much cash is coming in and out and what you have to work with during that time that you're trying to make that decision. Another nice feature is that you can bookmark your tabs that you constantly go in from day to day. So let's say I want to bookmark my bank transactions because I'm always going into the bank transactions. I want to categorize it every week or every 2 days. I can just click this little flag, or I don't know if they call it a flag, but you can just click this and it will bookmark it for you. So now when you go into your bookmarks, you see that the bank transaction is there. I mean, you can still go into your accounting and go to bank transactions, but I guess it saves like maybe half a second. I'm not sure. QuickBooks has a lot of features, but don't get overwhelmed. If you want me to help you navigate through the software or you have any questions that you would like me to answer, click the link below. Thanks for watching. And as always, you're keeping incredible service simple with Steph. Be blessed.